Welcome to another episode of the Dojo. I've decided that I'm going to stick with simply audio commentary instead of just working with video commentary because you want to see what I'm talking about when it comes to learning how to use a character and whatnot. And having commentary take up a portion of the screen is probably not the best bet. So this is going to be part of a two-part series where we look at the basics and some of the more advanced things on how to generally play Mortal Kombat X, regardless of which character you play as. Most of these are going to apply to every character in some form or another, so I will be able to talk to you guys about some of the more basic stuff and some of the more advanced things that I have learned about as I was playing through the game. As this is the basics, I figured I'd stick to the mascots, Scorpion and Sub-Zero. Their variations might change a little bit throughout, but it'll still be the same. I'm in practice mode because I have no time to set up an actual single fight to show you everything. We are also going to visit the training room stage, one of my favorites for actually practicing because you can actually change what interactables you have in the background in order for you to practice different interactive stuffs and whatnot. All you have to do is pause and go to the practice options. I kind of go back and do it as I show off the interactables you have on hand. You pause, go to practice options, and then what happens is you scroll to the bottom and you can choose your interactables of your choice. Now that you have chosen your interactables, you're going to have to learn some basic controls. Movement is a good place to start here. We'll be looking at how to move forward, which is holding down forward, back by holding back, and you'll know that holding forward, and then there's ducking and jumping down and up respectively, and you can jump forward and jump backwards. You will have noticed that I say forward and back instead of left or right. That's because, depending on the side of the screen you're on, your movement directions will actually change. This will also come in handy when I'm talking about special moves and input combos. By being on one side of the screen, right could be back or forward, depending on which side of the screen you're on, and you need to keep all of this in mind. Your basic attack buttons will be mapped on your face buttons, for example, square, triangle, X, and circle. I use a numbered system instead, which is a lot easier to use, especially when it comes to switching to different consoles. 1 is square, 2 is triangle, 3 is X, and 4 is circle. I also will talk about dashing. You can dash forward by tapping forward twice, and dash backwards by tapping back. You'll notice that back dashing requires stamina. If I don't at least have half of a bar of stamina, the little bar below health, I cannot back dash. I can also run by double tapping the forward dash and tapping R2 in order to run. This burns up stamina in a gradual fashion, but I can stop it at any time with a block or an attack. You can even actually enhance your run by allowing some forward dashing animation to occur and then run. With Sub-Zero, you can actually watch the ice underneath my feet, and as I run, I push Scorpion further towards the corner, which is actually a pretty handy trick that you should keep in mind at all times. Now, the next thing to know is how to block, which is right trigger on Xbox or R2 on the PlayStation 4. You can block high to block high attacks, or block low to block low attacks, among other things. And to grab, just tap the grab button, which is mapped to L1 or the left button. You can throw forward by holding forward and tapping your throw button, and you can actually use this in order to throw the opponent out of or towards a corner. As you'll see, I use the forward throw to throw Scorpion into the corner. The throws are very good because it's reliable damage, and outside of a brief escape window, by tapping any attack button once you're grabbed, you cannot escape from a throw. It's always very useful. You actually cannot, you can actually throw opponents that are blocking. Now, when I say combos, it's simple. It's a combo string is a combination of buttons used to execute an attack. For example, 1-1-1, or square, 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 for Sub-Zero is that attack. Or 2-4-2 is that attack. Or forward 3-3 executes that combo. Keep this in mind, and oh, that reminds me. Check out here. You can actually tag certain combos by tapping the triangle button on a combo, and you'll see that it will show you what that combo is. by tapping 2. And you can actually tag up to 6 moves, including fatalities and brutalities, and you will be able to see what they are so that you can easily see, oh, this is how I do a certain thing. And to clear it all, just hold down 2 and all of it is cleared so you can tag different moves. Now, there are 2 basic attacks that you should keep in mind at all times. Sweeping is a low attack that does a decent amount of damage and knocks the opponent down, giving you time to set up, say, a certain special move or whatnot. The uppercut does a lot more damage than the sweep. In fact, it does twice the amount of damage and knocks the opponent back. Using the uppercut, not all the time, but at the right moment, can give you some breathing room, especially if you are trapped in the corner. A very useful tactic for keeping in mind. Now, the next thing that I will be having a look at is, I believe it's special moves, or is it variations? Oh, it looks like we're looking at variations here. Or is it special moves? I forget. Sorry, I don't have a script on me, so I'm kind of just improvising on the fly here. Oh yeah, we're talking about variations here. So, with variations, you'll see that some moves are exclusive to a certain variation. There will be a symbol that will match the symbol of your variation. If those symbols match, then you can use that move in that variation. Some combos and some variations of special attacks, like the Ice Hammer, will be exclusive. But there will be universal special moves, like the Frost Bomb, which I used, the Slide, and the Ice Ball. Each of these special attacks have their own properties. The Slide is really good for getting under high projectiles and getting close to the opponent, and does a decent amount of damage. The Ice Ball for Sub-Zero is a perfect way to freeze the opponent, and because they can't block, you have a free hit. Many special attacks revolve around this. And you also have the Ice Bomb for knocking the opponent back. Really good for getting yourself out of a corner. In the Cryomaster variation, you can actually have access to a hammer, which will allow you to, well, lay the smackdown, as it were. Hammer time! Oh, and if you were to switch variations, like I do here, down back triangle, in the case of Sub-Zero, changes to a kind of parry, where he creates a kind of frost shield that, on contact from a physical attack, freezes the opponent, and will stop most projectiles, although it seems to me that bullets don't seem to be affected by the shield too much. Some variations also get unique special moves. For example, this Ice Armor, which is down back 3. This allows Sub-Zero to actually armor up and increase his blocking prowess. And as you can see, I actually have Scorpion attack me. I've recorded Scorpion's movement so that he will always repeat what I do within this timer span. This will allow you, if you do this and find ways to say, what's causing me trouble, then you can find a way to counter it by doing this. As you can see, I don't suffer from any chip damage as I am attacked, whereas if I don't have the armor on, I do suffer a little bit of damage. This chip damage is not something you would notice first, but it's something to keep in mind. And of course, if you whiff a block, like if you block improperly, then you're in trouble. A high block blocks high attacks, mid attacks, and overheads. However, low attacks will pass this block. High, mid, and low attacks will actually be blocked by low blocking. However, an overhead attack will go past this block. So you need to keep in mind how the opponent is attacking at all times and read their moves in order to block properly. You could also crouch below high attacks and land an uppercut. This is a good opportunity to show how some attacks actually change with some characters. Sub-Zero's uppercut becomes an actual uppercut instead of a sword slice. For part 2 of this basic tutorial, we will be looking at such things as interactables and how to use your meter. The meter at the bottom of the screen. The one that's been flashing this entire time, and some of you may be wondering what's going on. For those of you who already know all of this basic stuff, you can actually skip this video and jump right into advanced stuff. But I figured if somebody needed to go through some basic stuff and needed to learn how to basically play Mortal Kombat X, this would be a good place to start. I've set up the interactables to be at the Emperor's Courtyard, which supplies a good balance between the two main kinds of interactables, traversal and attacking. So, for example, you can use those stones as a traversal interactable to launch a great distance to get some distance. Oh, that's funny. Or you can actually grab the opponent at this pillar and use it as a weapon, basically. Those both require stamina. The same amount of stamina, in fact, as a backdash. So if I were to interactable, then interactable, I'm out of stamina. Or interactable, then backdash. So you need to keep an eye on your stamina and find a way to get a good balance on. So run, grab, I can't actually do it. Unless I was closer, run, or I guess, yeah, there we go. And now I use the interactable. Again, no script, total improv here. However, there are some single-use interactables. Most of these are for the attacking interactables, like that of hot something or other, I don't know what it is. But some, like that pillar, can be used as many times as you want. These are consumable and multi-use. Most of your attacking ones will actually be consumable, like that panel there. It's a great interactable, but it's only a single use. That wood thing over there, also a great interactable, also consumable. However, you can actually use more traversal things multiple times than you can attacking things. However, it is worth noting that there are some traversal ones that are single use, but you need to keep them in mind. You can also, for some interactables, actually influence where you travel by pressing forward or back as you tap the interactable button. The interactable button is R1 or the right button, depending on which platform you are playing on. Now we're going to jump back and talk a little bit about meter. There are 3 little bars underneath each character. This is your meter. Each bar of meter can be consumed in different ways. At 1 bar of meter, you can enhance your special attacks. This is almost always a good thing to keep in mind, especially if some certain attacks have unique properties that you want to pull off. For example, Sub-Zero's Ice Ball on its own is a fairly decent projectile, but it comes out a bit slow. When meter burned, it comes out way faster. As you can see, it takes a little bit of time for me to fire, but when I actually do it, meter burn it, that is, it comes out a lot faster. I actually switched Scorpion's variation to Hellfire to show off another property of this attack, and that is that it can go through projectiles. If I let my opponent wake up with the Fireball, which you can do in your AI options from the pause menu while in training mode, I can pick which attack he wakes up into. I've decided Fireball because it's something easy to do. As you can see, a normal Ice Ball does not stop the Fireball and I still get hit. But maybe I want to stop the Ice Ball, or maybe I want to stop the Fireball. Meter Burn! As you can see, suddenly the Fireball is gone. I used the Meter Burn Ice Ball to defend myself from projectiles. This works on most of the projectiles in the game, save for a few, like bullets and Farah, which I'll talk about more when I do Ferrator. When I Meter Burn the Slide, I actually do more damage and attack, and Meter Burn Ice Bomb actually has armor, which means I still take the damage, but I don't flinch as I unleash the attack. Some attacks actually have different reactions, too. Take the Ice Hammer in Cryomancer variation. When I Meter Burn it, when I normally use it, I land them flat on their ass. But when I Meter Burn, I get what's called a pop-up, which I'll talk more about later. Continuing on with a combo. I'll have him turn off the Fireball so he doesn't roast my ass anymore. I mean, I know about Freezer Burn, but geez, this is overkill. Now, the second thing we're going to look at for meter is a breaker. Breakers require 2 bars of meter, whereas enhanced only requires 1 bar. If you break a combo by tapping block, by holding right and tapping block in a combo string, you will break free from that combo, but it will burn 2 bars of meter and all of your stamina, thus preventing you from backdashing or using interactables for a while until you can actually use it again. And it would seem that your stamina actually recovers a lot slower after a meter burn, after a breaker rather. It takes a little bit of time for it to get going. Now, I'm showing off another thing, which is a fairly long combo out of Scorpion. A basic one, but something to keep in mind nonetheless, to show you how to use what's called a block breaker. To block break, you simply need to block and tap L2 on impact. It takes a little bit of time to get used to, but once you learn how, and don't button mash like I did, you will break free from a block string, which is very, very good. If somebody's got you in a fierce assault and you're just like, I need an opening, that is the opening for you. Break, and then move in for some kind of a special attack. whether that's in Sub-Zero's case a freeze ball or a slide or whatever other options you have on hand. Now, if you burn all 3 bars of meter in one attack by pressing both of the back triggers, or L2 and R2 on the PS4, you will actually perform what's called an X-ray attack. A brutal assault that is completely unbreakable. You cannot use a combo breaker to get out of this, and it does a lot of damage. This is what a lot of people will go for at first, and I totally see why. It does a lot of damage and you can't really break free. Sub-Zero actually has the unique property of being able to counter with it by having somebody hit him in a frozen state, thus freezing them, or use it as a means to straight up attack them in order to, do a lot of damage. This has been part 1, the basics of Mortal Kombat X. In part 2, we'll talk about a little more intricate things like X-ray combos, cross-ups, and pop-ups, as well as 2-in-1 cancels. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will love to make the other one. DFTBA.